Objection!
Ich habe keine Ahnung! Ah. Oh Mann. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it.
Objection!
Da ist es aber auch nicht so. As I look at you, Counsel, I see your trembling hand, your pallid expression in your aspiring swirl. Ach Mann, ey. If you choose a victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it. In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim, we had no reason to fear the man. If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? Also, vielleicht habt ihr jetzt gerade auch schon eine Idee und ich bin ja gerade völlig lost und ihr denkt euch, yo, wie lost der Junge ist. Aber ich habe keine Idee. So, we had no reason to kill the man.
Hold it!
So, you had never met things before, let me know once ever, blah blah blah. Imagine not. You see how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin. Oh, ich bin gerade echt getemptet, das Autoplay-Feature zu benutzen. Ich glaube, das mache ich einfach mal. Es tut mir leid, wenn das jetzt irgendjemand doof findet, aber ich sitze hier lang genug rum. No, motive, And, well, that's not all it is. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? Auto ist an. Hä? The only two people up on the roof deck, dead or alive, I can swear that. If anything had happened where we were sitting, we think one or other of us would notice. In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, what's your proof? I wonder if these two men really... I couldn't say. I mean, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Although, by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGildet either. It's so hard to know what to believe here. I think we should try to remember that it's evidence alone that can truly determine the outcome. Evidence. No one can argue against the size of evidence, including the members of the jury. So you are saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence. Yes, Mr. Naruto, precisely. The only people up on the roof deck are dead alive, I can swear to that. Hä? Aber das Autoplay-Feature macht gar nichts, oder? Well, it wasn't the final one of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. Suddenly it had been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. Is this some kind of a lark? Is this some kind of a joke, he said? Is that what it is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly. Are you fair dinkum, sir? Serious, sir, that's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you. I'd give you the key to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut. Nah. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up input and would have unlocked it and let me in. Fairies, and they didn't hear you at all. That's a lie, I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things, aren't we in the cold? Ich versteh's nicht. Ich hab das Autoplay-Feature an und es passiert nichts. You. Okay, then it's only fair that you and Alfina too. Open and free competition is what the capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really.
Hold it!
Ich hab keine Ahnung. Oh, look, no, not once, never. He'd never meet the man before, he said, never. And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either. That's right, sir, headers don't have much to do with to be perfectly honest, sir. No, imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have, things. That's right, it was about motive, and we had none. No motive, And, well, that's not all, is it? Skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it.
Hold it!
But we know now that the skylight does in fact open. And what's more, the catch that secures it is found on the roof deck side. This is getting flaming onkels. This is getting absurd, he said, completely absurd. Kann ich nochmal... Ich möchte mir das nochmal angucken. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cavern. So I'm sure the witness would have been able to see quite clearly. Und von innen vielleicht noch? Können wir noch von innen das angucken? Well, let's open the door and go inside. Oh, well. Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruto. Why someone like me? Da ist Blut. Oh Mann, sind wir dumm. Also ich bin dumm. Das hat jetzt so lange gedauert, das rauszufinden. Oh Mann. What is it? Look, just here, look at this. That's, without question, it's blood. Why would there be a blood stain there? Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? The details of the omnibus have been updated. Okay, und jetzt haben wir unseren Proof. Absurd. Bliblablub, ja, komm. Wir haben dich jetzt. Wir haben euch jetzt. I tell you, blah. If you are so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? Hier hast du dein Proof. Hat lang genug gedauert. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterward, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible. Irrefutable proof. Here, in this courtroom. Counsel. My lord. I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here. Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You will point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight. Da ist es.
Got it!
By Jupiter, is that blood? Ah! This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No! Order, order, order.
Hold it!
But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. And only found its way to that one particular spot on the skylight? Sure, and that would be very convenient. Ah. And let's keep in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But, there's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? 'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. What? No. But it can't be. It's all lies!
Hold it!
My fellow jury members. I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, yes sir. It's clear to me now whether filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? I won't tolerate any of the great carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On 3 then, everyone. 1, 2, 3!
Objection!
Oh no. A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zieks? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight? Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-toothed comb. So I can state with absolute surety, no such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But, are you suggesting, Lord Van Zieks, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes, and while this court has been in session. What? Hey, what a palaver. I must say, I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zieks. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fella known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. Okay, ist er doch schuldig vielleicht? You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Tut tut, Lord Van Zieks. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But if you will at all cast your minds back, is it not true that the omnibus there has been in this courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Ja, als die Rauchbombenattacke war. Isn't that right now, counsel? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time that court has been in session. My learned friend, here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best as I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. Die Wahrheit. There's no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there's one possibility. Oh! Good gracious! Explain yourself, counsel. Als ob der jetzt wirklich schuldig ist. Das wäre mal ein Turn von der normalen Ace Attorney Formel. Würde ich aber cool finden. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from his deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly. The recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. Flashback time. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye rotten feckless gouger? Feckless? Gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. Tis a wicked plot. Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as S, die verschwundenen Kisten und das blutige Skylight. Dachfenster. To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord von Sieks, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say, we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is a result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord, no doubt there was not a single person who saw it fit to verify such things. What do you think? Zoe? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? I have no idea, muss ich sagen. Yes. I have no idea. If I'm honest, I don't remember what I examined when in that omnibus. I can't verify this either way. My lord, at this moment in time, the defense can point out one other inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What? Miss Susato, what are you doing? I examined the omnibus with you, don't forget. Susato rettet mal wieder den Tag, big brain. There's something that seems out of place compared to how the carriage looked originally. That's what we need to identify now. What in the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare to betray me, you little maggot, you'd better start watching.
Objection!
Silence, McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification. Grr. This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark that you claim appeared at some point during the trial? Ich habe keine Chance zu speichern. Shit. Aber doch, wir haben, als wir hier das untersucht haben, das sieht anders auch aus, das Blut als hier oben. Sieht ein bisschen heller aus. Und als wir gesucht haben, wurde gesagt, als wir das untersucht haben, so wollte ich jetzt sagen. Als wir es untersucht haben, wurde gesagt, dass Barock von diesem Stain hier gar nichts gesagt hat. Also, könnte es das sein?
Got it!
If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Das muss ich nochmal checken in meinen Aufnahmen davor, vom Anfang des Falls. Das werde ich nachher nochmal nachgucken. Good Lord! Also es wird so sein, aber es finde ich trotzdem interessant, dass einem das nicht aufgefallen ist. Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Damn. Ah! This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but 'tis all over now. But you're the defendant. 'Tis over, I tell ye. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all a nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that Bloodstain is there, now. Ah, well. And over the course of this disparate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I'd thought better of Lord Van Zieks. Well, my lord? I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zieks, what is your position? Damn. Ich glaube es mittlerweile auch, dass es McGilded war, tatsächlich. Ich glaube es auch, weil diese ganzen Unstimmigkeiten, dass es plötzlich da ist, das ist bisschen convenient. The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilded will be found not guilty. Yes. Which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Ah, das ist eine ähnliche Situation wie Phoenix mal hatte, in dem, wo Maya entführt wurde. Nur nicht ganz so schlimm, aber trotzdem. Yes, my lord. The defense believes. The defendant is innocent, the defendant could be guilty. Oh Gott, das ist wie damals. Entscheiden wir uns für den Sieg, damit wir in Großbritannien bleiben können, auf jeden Fall. Damit wir dem Stronghold gezeigt haben, dass wir dass wir ein Anwalt sind, dass wir den Test bestanden haben. Oder gehen wir der Wahrheit nach? Eine schwierige Entscheidung. Wahrheit oder Sieg. Wahrheit oder Sieg. Ich würde sagen, the defendant could be guilty. I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. Gilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent. Good. Good gracious me! Order, order, order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defendant's lawyer calling the accused's innocence into question? Are you of sound mind? Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was. A grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah! Your job here is done, fella, and some fine work you've done, so you have. What do you mean? 'Tis just as the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it before. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. Wahahahaha! I really don't know what to make out of this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightfully rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking witch are always guilty of something. You mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us a lovely pal. Now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. Das fühlt sich nicht richtig an.
Objection!
But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zieks. My lord. The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection!
But wait! When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zieks ordered the evidence to be secured. I am afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What? Als ob, ich dachte, die Jury kommt jetzt vielleicht als letztes Mittel, aber naja. Well, Lord Van Zieks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. Wow, krass. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Verdammt! Magnus McGildet. Good grief, you've more to say to me, have you? Just one thing, a warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. Wahahahaha! I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGildet. Ich hab ein Gefühl, das war's zumindest für diese Episode. Ach du Scheiße. Ich meine, es kann immer noch sein, aber das sieht sehr nach gefälschten Beweisen aus. I can't believe it. This is an outrage. There should be cemented the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end. As ob! With the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us.